When the first Five Nights at Freddy's movie released, I saw a lot of people talking about how bad the movie was and how it was one of the worst video game movies, which is a pretty big statement. I never really understood the hate. While yes, the movie wasn't all that good, but it definitely wasn't all that bad. 3C Films, the GOAT, said that it would probably be a good movie for someone like a kid who wants to get into the horror genre. And as someone who was this very example, and also kind of a FNAF fan, I really liked it. I don't think it was a really good movie, but even with that, I still liked it. But Five Nights at Freddy's 2 was, no joke, the first movie I saw in theaters that I walked out thinking, wow, that was kind of disappointing. And this is coming from a FNAF fan, alright? I like FNAF, but this movie was just not it. There are some things that I liked about the movie, but there are also a lot of things that I didn't like about it. I'll first talk about the characters. There's really only 3 main characters and Michael, but I'll get to him later. I will first talk about Mike since he's the main character. But even though he's the main character of the film, there really isn't much to say about him, because he's just a very generic protagonist. His whole character can just be summed up to generic guardian figure. So since there isn't much to say about Michael, I'll just move on to Vanessa. Vanessa could have been a great character in the movie with her backstory with her father William Afton and her trauma with him. But despite this, it isn't really focused on enough. And even if it was, she doesn't really serve any purpose to the movie other than revealing some information about Freddy Fazbear's. And even with that, she's still keeping a lot of information secretive until it was too late. I don't really blame Mike for telling Vanessa to get off with his and Abby's life because she has been very secretive about the location. The location of another Freddy Fazbear's pizzeria in the same town that she knows has a spirit of a child that is just a ticking time bomb waiting to be set off. And she just doesn't tell Mike about it? After everything that has happened in the last movie? If she just told Mike about the other location, while I don't think it would have completely prevented the situation, it would have been a lot more easier to handle the problem. Abby is also kind of infuriating to watch. We see her make some friends in school at the beginning of the movie, but she is pushing them away because she is obsessed with finding the souls of the children in the animatronics from the first film. And is also making a lot of dumb decisions, just implying that she learned nothing from the first film. There's also Michael Afton in here too, because why not? Let's be honest, Michael is just here to please the fans. He serves absolutely no role to the movie and can easily just be cut off. His only character motivation is to commit mass murder to carry on his father's legacy. That is the most cartoony motivation I've seen in a movie. I will say Freddy Krueger did a good job in the role of Michael in this movie for the small amount of screen time he had. Overall, Mike is generic, Michael shouldn't have existed, Vanessa was wasted potential, and Abby should die. The horror... This is barely a horror movie. They kept on hyping this movie to be more scarier than the first movie, but they really mean that they just added more jump scares. A lot more jump scares. From what I heard, there's about 15 jump scares, which doesn't seem a lot, but knowing that this is the main reason why they thought the movie was scarier than the first is kind of sad. Oh yeah, the animatronics too. They look so good, and it seems like they were ripped off from the games. But they were such a waste of potential. Firstly, the withered animatronics were just there for like one scene in the entire movie. They could have easily been cut from the movie and really nothing would have changed. They were literally added to the movie because they were in the games. Yeah, sure, they had a cool waking up moment, but that's really just it. They didn't even add anything to the movie. In fact, even the toy animatronics were kind of wasted, aside from Toy Chica, who had a connection with Abby. The others were just wandering around a neighborhood, really doing nothing. But the weirdest one was the puppet. In the games, it was the puppet who put the children's souls into the animatronics, while also being an antagonist because it believes that the player is William Afton, Charlotte's murderer. That's what made the puppet such an interesting character or figure. She was an antagonist, but you get why she thinks she's doing the right thing. But in the movie, she wants revenge not on the killer, but on the parents who ignored her from the beginning of the movie, who also had the worst dialogue in the entire movie. It feels like they were making changes to the character, while also keeping the same thought process than the original games. But it doesn't work because of the context of what it's doing to the movie. It sounds like it will work, but it lacks the morally gray concept from the original game and made her into just the bad guy blinded by rage. There's also a balloon boy who appears for like 2 scenes before getting his head ripped off. One negative thing I want to say about the movie is about the pacing. The first 30 minutes took so long to get anything done that I made the second act feel like the first act and the third act feel like the second act, and then it just ended. When I realized the movie just ended, I said to myself, that's it? Because it felt like the whole third act of the movie just got cut out. Also, why would they set up a whole festival only for one toy animatronic to go there and do nothing? Imagine if the third act would have had the toy animatronics just committing mass murder in the festival, while Mike, Vanessa, and Abby tried to stop them. This would have justified the carnival's existence in the movie and would have made for a much better third act, or it would have been the third act. Now, I wouldn't say that I hated the ending that we got. When the OG animatronics came to demolish the toy animatronics, while it was kinda cringe, I couldn't help but put a smile on my face. In fact, that actually goes to my next point about this movie. Despite how much negativity I have for this movie, you can't say that it's not enjoyable. I know I'm the last person to say this, but I think if you just forget that this is a horror movie and just turn your brain off, I think you would like this movie more than I did. The main problem I have with this is that Scott Cawthon has been working on this movie for years, saying that he wants it to be as good as possible, and yet this is what we get? It's definitely enjoyable, but for a movie franchise that took over a decade to make, I can't help but feel disappointed on what we got. Even with all the negativity and my doubt that the third movie will be any better, I'm still going to watch it because if you just turn your brain off and enjoy what the movies are, I think you would have had a better experience. I just feel a bit disappointed that the movies aren't anything more.